So back to the fiduciary conversation, Brad. Obviously, we're held to the fiduciary standard, act in the best interest of your clients ahead of your own situation, right? And some people almost market that. If you watch commercials, it's like, yep, we're a fiduciary. That means you should come to us, right?
Yeah, guys, I literally just saw a commercial this weekend, and my guess is many of the retirees or soon to be retirees or whoever's listening to this podcast has seen the exact same commercial. Just write it down, write the word fiduciary down, and then watch the next financial services commercial. And I bet half of them are using it. But here's the thing. They're using it as a marketing angle versus the definition of what a fiduciary actually is. Yeah. And I just pulled it up because I wanted to get one definition. A fiduciary is someone who manages money or property for someone else. When you are named a fiduciary, you are required by law to manage the person's money and property for their benefit, not yours. For example, a friend of yours may name you her fiduciary through a power of attorney. So that's very short and sweet. But here's what's interesting. I've seen this, and by the way, a Series 65, we're getting a little into the weeds, but a Series 65 means, which obviously the guys are Keith and Derek and their team, it allows you to charge a fee for financial planning. One of the things that comes along with is the requirement to be a fiduciary, right? Yes. So legally act in the best interest of your clients. So by definition, I'm legally obligated to act in the best interest of my clients. Now, let's talk about the marketing spin that our industry puts on it. It's basically work with the fiduciary and no one else. Now, the problem is, I'm going to go back to your guys' analogy of the tools in the toolbox. And one of the things I've found to be very true, in fact, as I've talked with retirees, as I've talked with advisors, it's almost universal. And I'm just going to say, hey, I hire you to build a home for me. And if I'm the general contractor for your home and I open up my toolbox, I'm like, hey guys, this is going to be an incredible home. Can't wait to build it. And I pull out a hammer. You're like, awesome, cool. Yeah, we're going to have to hammer some nails in. Absolutely. But then if you look in the toolbox and all that's in there are hammers, you're like, hey, where's the rest of the tools? And how sound of a structure are we going to be able to construct with just hammers? And that could trade out a hammer for a saw or a wrench or whatever. And so one of the things I see is there's this war. It's almost like going on Facebook and scrolling right versus left, politics. But in the world of finance, it's fee-based versus insurance-based planning. And just swap those two terms out for here's a hammer on one side, here's a saw on the other. And truth be told, I strongly believe a fiduciary, if you're actually going to deliver on the term fiduciary, you should open up the toolbox and ideally have every financial product, every tool in this analogy possible in that toolbox to serve your clients.
Yep.
And I think one of the things that happens on a lot of these, whether it's, I see it a lot in the AUM-based world, hey, we're a fiduciary, we're legally obligated to do what's in your best interest. And then you're like, okay, cool. What sort of insurance planning do you do? And they're like, we don't do insurance planning. And you're like, wait, you work with retirees? And how do you not have like life insurance options or income-based solutions, annuities, other products that you can, these are tools that were designed to solve for that need. Or on the flip side, if you go on the insurance side and there's not fee-based, it's like, wait, definitely get the protections that insurance allows. But my guess is they also want to grow some assets as well, keep up with inflation. Maybe they've got extra in the portfolio that they just want to grow that aligns with their risk, tolerance, all that. And so like, if I'm just going to circle back, I think one of the things as a retiree, if somebody says, hey, I'm a fiduciary, I'm obligated to do what's in your best interest, I would say, hey, let's open up the toolbox of tools. What all solutions do you offer? What are your insurance solutions? What are your fee-based solutions? And literally because you can say you're a fiduciary and you can legally be a fiduciary, licensed to be one. The question is what's in the toolbox? Because if they don't have the solutions in the toolbox or they haven't been trained to offer, a broad breadth of solutions, then it's like, I'm a fiduciary with one tool. And we know how that works out, right? So Anyway, that's kind of the stance I've looked at that's been eye opening over the last 10, 10, 15 years.